All righty. Good evening. I'm so happy to be here with you guys, ladies. Most of you know, I'm Pat Christopherson, Senior Ruby Brand Ambassador with Plexus Worldwide, and I'm so happy to share with you today. I hope that you get a pen and paper and write down what stands out to you. I'm having difficulty getting my notes in place. Give me 5 seconds. Thank you. I love our company. I love the products, the ethics, and I'm grateful for all of you. First of all, for taking the time to be here tonight. And I'm proud and thankful for everyone on my team, as well as the lessons that I've learned from the ones who've come and left. I still have so much to learn, and I'm excited to be in a field, a company that is so generous and brings so many opportunities to grow. Andrea, I specifically want to thank you for being so consistent from 2016 to 2019 for growing your knowledge to a point that I was impressed with you enough that I really, really wanted to be on your team. I appreciate you being patient with me as I began to learn and make mistakes and get up and try again. I appreciate you, and I love all of our leaders. As far as this business, I didn't have a fast start. In fact, I literally missed fast start by 1 day, but that was okay because I was so excited about that $100 bonus. I reached gold 8 months in February, senior gold in April, ruby in August, and then on October 31st, I reached 758 points in 2020 to achieve senior ruby. So I've been riding around 1,000, 1,100 points for the 2 years since then. So the things that I want to share with you tonight, I actually heard from a real diamond, but I think I listened to this, her recording like 7 times, maybe more, maybe only 6 or 7, but because I believe in my heart that I will be diamond. And I want every one of you to believe that you will be diamond. And so, when I reached senior ruby, I just knew that by the next June, I'd surely be emerald. But it hasn't happened yet. And it's not a bad place to be. It's just that I'm not content to stop and coast intentionally. In fact, something that I'm not real happy to report is that if we had retained all of the people who ever joined, we'd be way closer to sapphire than just trying for emerald. So I know that 100% retention is not really a thing, but I'm not going to stop hoping for it. So I hope your October is off to a great start. Who has already earned the sneakers? I know several of y'all have. Who's going to earn the sneakers? I am. All right, let's get started. After I listened to Brittany Howard share these things, I went to my team last year and I asked them, if I asked them to think about it, if I do not become a diamond, it will be because what? And then fill in the blank. And I wanted them to be completely vulnerable and share their heart. And I heard the same answers over and over, and a lot of them are fear-based answers. And one person said, if I don't become a diamond, it'll be because I'm dead. And I kind of like that because we're going to do this. I did get some good answers, common fears, struggles. Every ambassador has wrestled with these things and worked through them. And it's interesting because if we would have asked 18 months ago, it would have been a different set of circumstances and you'd hear different answers. There would be so many objections in their minds. What about this? What about that? So I just want to start with this thought. There's nothing new under the sun. So what you're wondering about and what I'm struggling with and wondering about, others have too. And here's what everybody really wants to know. What they're actually asking is, can I do this? Can I go all the way? Do I have what it takes? Can I be as successful as I want to be in Plexus? And the answer is yes. We've seen it happen over and over and over again. You can, as soon as you decide that you're going to be successful. It starts with a decision. There have been months on this team where we watched mountains move. And how did those mountains move? One shovelful at a time. And you know what else? You know why the mountains moved? Because somebody made a decision. Somebody said, this is what I'm going for. And they did it. Did they have doubts and fears along the way? Sure they did. But they had already decided what was going to happen. There are times when their uplines had to get on the phone and say, what can I help you with? How can I help you? How can I motivate you, encourage you? Here are some tips, but you can do this. And that's exactly what we all need in our journey. It's going to start with us making a decision that no matter what, you're going to be diamond. So there are some success indicators, like how do you separate the people who will be diamonds from the people who won't make it to diamond? How can we tell? And it's really simple. So I'm going to share some success indicators. There are really only 4 things that we're looking for, things that we see that diamonds have in common. First indicator, are you willing to work? This business is work. It is a business. Can you imagine opening any other kind of business and not being willing to put work into it? It is hard work. Are you willing to work and work hard? Because if you want to make money like a brain surgeon, which is what some diamonds do make, you can't get there by not working hard. So that's the first thing. If you want to run a successful business, you have to be willing to work hard. Number 2, are you willing to learn? Are you willing to learn and grow and change yourself? And I don't mean not being true to who you are as a person. I mean, are you willing to grow into the best you that you can be? Are you willing to make changes? Learning is also work. So it could be a subtitle under the first point. We watch some people and they're simply not willing to work. We watch others and they'll work, they'll get sweaty, they'll do fruit producing activity, but they're not willing to take the time to work personally on their internal self and growing their skill set. There are some things that you just have to put the shovel down and dig into yourself and do the work and learn and change and be teachable. Input equals output. And here's the next thing. Are you willing to get out of your comfort zone? I don't know about you, but I wake up every day grateful to be in this company, this generous and well-managed company, Plexus. When people tell me they don't want to have anything to do with this type of business, I just scratch my head because they just don't know. You know, we have to do a better job of representing who we are because they don't get it. They don't know. They don't know as much as they think they do about our business. Brittany actually said, I realize that sometimes when you're in the thick of it, it's hard. But when you look back, you realize it wasn't as hard as you thought it was going to be. For the amount of money that I make now, it should have been harder than it was. I love that. So the reason that most people don't want to do this is they're addicted to their own comfort. Comfort is the enemy of progress. And that's a line from The Greatest Showman. But it's true. People don't want to get uncomfortable. If you're not willing to get out of your comfort zone, you won't be successful at this. And nobody can help you. It has to be you making up your own mind. Comfort zone could look like you're just unwilling to put yourself out there because you don't want to face rejection, because it stinks to be rejected. Sometimes getting out of your comfort zone could be going ahead and putting the hard work in, Because some people are actually lazy and don't want to say no to themselves. They aren't willing to say no now to what they feel like doing so they can say yes later to what they really want down the road. So sometimes it does just come back to laziness, which points back to point number 1. Are you willing to get out of your comfort zone? Because it is a success indicator of whether or not you will be diamond. If you're willing to do that, then you can go as far as you want to go. The last thing is, will you keep going and never quit? That is grit, okay? I listen to Sarah Marble a lot. She's beautiful and successful, and she started out with only a breast check kit and opposition in her own household. She asks often, if you knew that it would take you 10 years to reach diamond, would it be worth it? So I'll ask you, if you knew that it would take you 10 years to go from a small paycheck to an insane paycheck, from silver to diamond, would it be worth it? At the end of the day, what it comes down to is this. The only way for you not to be a diamond is for you to quit. Are you planning to quit? If the answer is no, then just decide that you're going to be a diamond. It really is that simple. So those are success indicators. And then there are some not success indicators. These are things when you're surveying your friends and you're thinking, would they be good for the business? Would they be good for the business? These are some mistakes that people make. They look and they say, oh, she's got a lot of extra time on her hands. Well, that is not necessarily a success indicator. Also, having a big network. Just because somebody has, over 4,000 friends and can't follow 5,000 friends and you can't follow them anymore, they can't get any more followers. That's not necessarily a good indicator that they will be successful. Like how many of you had a big network when you started? I had a lot of friends on Facebook because I moved around a lot as a kid and I went to several schools. I had several jobs and I went to numerous churches, but these people didn't know me as a business person. They knew me as a mom. And since becoming a mom, I had never built a career. I'd heard several diamonds tell their stories that they started social media with less than 200 followers and friends. And so having a big network is not necessarily an indicator of whether or not you can go all the way. Also, you do not have to have a certain type of personality. Don't look for just the extroverts because a lot of diamonds are actually introverts. Also, having lots of influence when you start out, that kind of goes back to the network thing. Quick success at any point in your business, if 2020 was an indicator, we'd all be closing in on diamond now because that year there was so much growth, but it wasn't necessarily a permanent indicator of success. Not being, if you were not a fast starter, that's not necessarily a success indicator. Also having a great upline. Not everybody has the upline that we do. We on this team have absolutely no excuses. But the most important thing in your business is not to have a great upline, but to be a great upline. Be the strong leader. Also, those things are not indicators, even though many people think they are. So now I want to address some fears. And this is where you're going to want your pencil because you're going to identify yourself probably somewhere. I identified myself a lot in these. Some of these fears sound all warm and fuzzy. The first one is my why isn't big enough. People say, I'm not successful yet because I just haven't figured out a big enough why. And honestly, the root of that is not that your why isn't big enough. Everybody has dreams that they would love their life to look like. And if you knew that you couldn't fail, you would do this. Everybody has a dream, even if it's hidden in your heart. But the root of that is a fear of failure. You just don't want to allow yourself to announce your dream because you don't want to be disappointed. You think, if I don't make it, what if people find out and I flubbed up and I wasn't enough? But that's fear. It's not a matter of not having a why that's big enough. It's you not believing in yourself. That's fear, and it needs to be addressed. And here's another, and I've heard this: I can't be successful because my husband is not supportive of me. You could say friends or family. But the root of that fear is you're believing that your success depends on your circumstances. Having a support system is not one of those success indicators. It's not the bottom line. I don't say that lightly because I realize it is a difficult situation if you don't feel you have support. My husband always supported me. In fact, it was his idea that we actually get started. But in all honesty, because of my lack of organization and inability to balance my priorities, sometimes I'm pretty sure that, in fact, I'm certain that had I gone to Tom and said, would you like me to quit? He would have said, please lay it down, because you're not prioritizing your family. You're not thinking on things in a logical way. But I didn't, and he didn't. But it can be hard. But it can also be worked out by discussing. Just know that when you believe your success is dependent upon some circumstance or some other person outside yourself, you're making yourself a victim. And that's a victim mindset. And there's no way to sugarcoat that. It's just something we have to be aware of. This whole discussion, I haven't even mentioned the fact that we truly depend on God's help. Of course, our success depends completely on Him, His will, His strength, His timing, and without Him, I will never be enough. I will never be equal to any task. But with Him, well, we know that He said it best. With Him, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So we all have hurdles in the business that we have to work through or jump over, even if it's only in our mind. But just remember that someone else's support of you is not an indicator of whether or not you can go all the way. Another warm and fuzzy fear: people are going to be critical of me. I'm just going to go ahead and put your mind at ease if you have this fear. You're right. People will be critical of you. As you increase your exposure, you're going to increase something else: potential haters. But you are not fighting for the criticizers. There will be people out there who don't want you to win. They don't understand what you're working for. It's a small percentage of people, but those are not the people that you're doing this for. And what you focus on is going to expand. And you can't sit there and focus on the people who are criticizing you. Always keep in mind that there are people who need what you're offering. They need your products. They need your opportunity. And mostly they need you, your talents, not your uplines or your sidelines, your talents, your gifts, your expertise, and your leadership. So you have to fight for the ones who need what you have. You can listen to your critics or you can listen to your calling, but you're not going to be able to listen to both. The more you listen to your calling and focus on that, the more the critics will fade into the background. They may not go away completely. They may always be there. No matter how successful you become, there will always be critics, but you cannot focus there. It'll drive you crazy. Don't let them steal your future. So here's another warm and fuzzy fear. I don't want to sacrifice time with my kids, friends, family to be successful. The root of that is that you don't believe it's worth it. You think, I'm scared I'm going to sacrifice this thing that's important to me for nothing, but it's not really going to work. But that's fear. It's doubt, and it's not true. Sometimes we get confused and we think that what we spend the most time on or give the most time to must be what's important to us. And that's not always the case. For example, if I spend 12 hours a day caring for my children, Does that automatically mean I'm not putting God first? No, not necessarily. I'm putting God first because he gave me this job to care for my children, and it's what he's actually called me to do. If I'm spending time on my business, or with my kids working on projects or schoolwork or chores all around me, am I then putting my business before my kids? Not necessarily. Think about this. 100 years ago, people had to grow all their food. They had to work their farms, and they had to be outside of their house all day to survive. They integrated their work and their family life. And Plexus gives us this perfect opportunity to do the very same thing. And we have to be strategic, but it can be done. And don't worry, we're not sacrificing time with our friends either. Here we are. We're all together looking in each other's eyes. We work with our best friends. So it's the best of both worlds. Working our business is spending time with our friends. Okay, other fears. What if I run out of people to talk to? Well, you will if you're not intentional. And you have to make a new friend every day. Make 3. And if you start this right now, you'll never run out of people. What if I get burned out? What if I can't keep this intensity forever? The answer to that is consistency beats intensity. The way to beat that is to build a team of strong leaders. And I have some great leaders, but I don't have a big team of strong leaders. And Sherry and Tom and I are praying about that. I can't do all the work that keeps this organization running smoothly and growing. We have to work smart and develop leaders who will also develop leaders who will continue to duplicate. And this will multiply my output and Andrea's output and Dory's and Melissa's and Michelle's. You don't have to keep up this pace forever. Sometimes, especially when your team is in momentum, it can feel like, oh my word, it's taken over my life. So in the beginning, or maybe even like the last few days of the month, it can feel like that sometimes. And when you are silver and senior silver, it can feel like you're putting all these hours out there and you feel like you're not getting commensurate pay. But if you're willing to work hard now and build, you reach a point where you feel like you're getting paid a lot more than the time that you're putting in. That's the beauty of building a business versus having a job or just trading your hours for dollars. So as you develop leaders, wisely building your team, working consistently, it has a compounding effect. So there'll be times in your business where you have to combine consistency with intensity, but it doesn't end up being that all the time. Sometimes it's more consistency than intensity, and sometimes vice versa. If you feel like you're always having to combine consistency and intensity, you might analyze how you're spending your time, and if it's how you really want and need to spend your time. Because if you feel tired or stressed out, those are signs that something's out of balance. But seriously, aren't there times in parenting that you are way, way tired, stressed, nearly to breaking, and you don't say to yourself, I'm probably out of balance. I need to stop parenting so much. We don't do that. So the hard times come in seasons. Praise God. And that's normal. So speaking of consistency, what if we say to ourselves, I'm not a consistent person? What if I want to be, and I wish I was, but I constantly let myself down? And I think maybe Andrea is the first person I ever heard say this. Andrea or Melissa, one or the other. Start making promises to yourself. Start with little promises and keep them. And the truth is that you're only an inconsistent person if you believe you are, because you're only powerless to change if you believe you are. So there's some mental work that needs to happen. Are you believing something about your temperament? Maybe you think you have an addictive personality, or you're like an all or nothing type of person. And if you believe these things about yourself, just know that it's a belief and you can change it. Don't let anyone label you except God and you. If God says it about you, believe it. Otherwise, question it. Success is a series of little bitty right choices. Having compassion on yourself will help you experience a greater sense of well-being. There are so many times when we have to have a friend or spouse to remind us to give ourselves grace. Don't be so hard on yourself. Have compassion on yourself and give yourself grace, and give it to other people too. Sometimes you do need to get over your excuses, but sometimes it's just a matter of giving yourself grace. So if you're not a consistent person, choose to be a consistent person. Make those little promises to yourself. Start with small wins and let the snowball effect take place. Starting with small wins can boost your confidence, and that leads to big wins. Okay, what if I don't have confidence? What if I don't get to diamond because I get tired of being told no, and it just hurts to hear it all the time? So go back to those success indicators. Not having confidence and not being able to be told no, those weren't on the list of success indicators. You just don't give up. You have to keep learning, keep growing. Confidence comes with competence, and that goes back to the success indicators. Be willing to learn and not give up. The difference between you and a diamond is that the diamond has been told no more than you have, and they made a choice to keep going. So you make your choice. You're going to be told no, and you're going to have to be willing to get out of that comfort zone. And if you're not willing to get out of that comfort zone, then nobody can help you. You have to make that choice. Now, I have thought this many times. I don't always feel that I have value. I've said to myself, I don't know how to add value. What does that mean? What do I have that adds value to the community? So go learn. Ask your upline what they see in you and figure it out, and take some personality tests. Ask some friends for their opinion and ask them, what value do I add to your life? How have I ever made your day better? And then you can make a choice of what value you're going to add in the future. If you don't feel like you've added value in the past, today's your day. You get to change right now. And you make a decision about what value you're going to add in the future. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. What matters is how you'll move forward from today. So go figure out how to add value. Add value means help people, listen to people, solve problems. I know lots of problems that we can solve with these products. And here's another one. What if I'm not good enough? Almost every person struggles with this. What if I'm just not good enough to find people who want to do this with me? That's imposter syndrome. Our job is not to go find these people. It's to create them. Remember the success indicators. If you're willing to work, willing to learn, don't give up, then you're going to be talking to people about Plexus. Facing rejection, following up, honing your skill set, getting better at this as you go, because it is a process. And daily you're analyzing what doesn't work, changing up, doing it different the next day, asking yourself, why wasn't that effective? Why wasn't it successful? And you will improve over time. That's what it's going to look like. Most people who do this business aren't good at it at first. We just don't start as naturals. Most of us don't. I know I didn't feel natural, and sometimes I still don't. So you're not going to go find the naturals. You're going to create and train them. When you're working at this, training yourself, training others to duplicate, it's inevitable that you will create successful business builders. Okay. Also, we use that phrase, good enough. We can't even define what that looks like. We're all over here saying, I'm never going to be good enough. But what does that look like? I'm here to tell you that the finish line on this life is always moving, because we're all a work in progress and we're all learning. And if you become a diamond, that doesn't fix it. It just moves the line further ahead. You'll never have the feeling that you're good enough. If you can't pinpoint what good enough is, it'll torment you, but don't let it define you or stop you. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other and know that you're in good company with 99.9% of the rest of humanity. That imposter syndrome is when someone feels undeserving of their achievements and afraid that they're going to get found out. Who am I to be blessed like this? So here's another one. What if nobody has the drive that I have? That's the flip side of the coin. What if I can't find people to do this with me? One side is I'm not good enough. And the other side is they're not good enough. But you're not the only driven person in the whole wide world. My little 4'10" daughter-in-law used to be a PE teacher. And she would have little kids walking up and saying, they did this and they did that. And she would look at them and she would say, you're not special. That just made my breath. You would say that to those precious little kids? But there are situations where you have to look yourself in the face and say, okay, so you've got some skill, you've got some talent, use it. But you're not the only one with skill and talent and drive. So if you have the grit and perseverance, you need to know that there truly are other people out there that have the same drive. There are plenty who are willing to do what it takes. You can go find those people and develop them into leaders. And this is another I heard. What about this one? I'm not going to be a good enough leader and they're all going to quit on me. So can you name any diamonds who never had anybody quit on them? No. It happens all the time. Everybody. Now, everybody you sign up shouldn't be quitting, but it's inevitable that you'll lose some people along the way. So these are all skills that can be learned. Leadership is casting vision, pouring belief, making sure good systems are in place, and then you go let your people figure it out. They have to take ownership of their own businesses. So here's another. What if I do all these things and it doesn't work? Then you're not doing all these things. When people say, I'm doing all these things and it's not working, something is actually missing. It could be that you're recruiting well and not retaining. Or you could be retaining, but you can't duplicate. Or you could be doing all three, but not leading well. So when you say you're doing all the things and you're not going anywhere, you're truly not doing all the things. Ask me how I know. I just confess to you that I've been at within the same 120-ish points for 2 years. So I'm preaching to myself. I have to find out what's missing. This is a proven process, and those are the 4 pillars: recruiting, retaining, duplicating, and leadership. But the truth is, you don't have to be the best in the world to add value to someone's life. You can start just by helping people and solving a problem for someone and making someone smile. Start with giving somebody a genuine compliment each day. Start by going silver and then show somebody else how to go silver. So here is the diamond ticket. This is what you all came to hear. If you show people how to go silver and then show them how to help people go silver over and over and over, you will without doubt become a diamond. And one more thing. What if I get all the way there and it isn't worth it? Really, the root of this question is fear. What if I put all this work in, but then don't actually make it? Listen, everybody knows what an extra $30,000 a month could do for your family and your community. Everybody has a pretty good idea of what that could mean. And most people work their whole life and never see that kind of money anyway. So I really don't think it's a matter of, is it worth it? It's just a matter of, can I do it? Will I make it? It's fear and it's doubt holding you back. And I'm going to wrap up with this. We tend to think that successful people are different from us and that they don't have these fears, but they do have them, or they did have them. What sets them apart is not that they don't experience doubt and fear. It's that they don't let that hold them back. They just do it scared. And that's a choice. So quit comparing and quit excusing and just go all in. Just decide that you're going to be a diamond. Even if it takes you 10 years, it will be worth it. You'll figure it out. You'll do the things. You'll fail forward. You'll analyze. You'll do all the things. You'll do it again. And you'll keep going. And becoming a diamond will be inevitable. So that's all I got for you.
Hey, that was really good. I'm like literally, you did such a good job. I'm just like, you hit on so many things. I think everybody raise your hand. Did she hit on something that was like light bulb major? I mean, seriously.
Me too. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, it's just I was thinking when I was listening to you, like you knocked every objection out of the water, and showed us like, quit your stinking thinking and like target an area, figure out where your areas are that you're strong, where you're weak, and do the thing. And so I love that, even if it takes 10 years or whatever, I mean, what else are we going to be doing for 10 years is the way I look at it.
Exactly.
And so anyway, does anybody have any nuggets or questions or thoughts? I'd love to hear.
Around like the third line I sang, it was real.
Everybody's speechless.
Well, like I said, I was literally preaching to myself. And honestly, I watched Melissa become diamond, and I watched Michelle move up to sapphire, and you and Dory move up to emerald. And the whole time that was happening, I was thinking the imposter syndrome. Why am I here? I can't believe this is me, that I am doing a job here. We are actually making progress. And I'm just telling you, I didn't know if I could. But when I heard Brittany and Christina talk about, you get to make the choice. It's not for other people to decide. That freed me to just take off down the runway. And I would love to make zero mistakes from here on out. But it's okay, because what I figured out is that it's the mistakes that I learned the most from. So I'm just so happy to be here with all of you. I see two of my team members down here, Sally, so faithful, and Sherry. I'm so glad y'all are here. I'll close it out if you want me to. I just appreciate y'all being here. And I think we're all in it together. And I think that we are unique. I really do. I think this 12 ladies right here are very unique. And there will be people, she's right, perfection is so boring. We have to learn through our mistakes. But this team has such a neat unity, and I have absolutely no doubt that Melissa's going to have so many diamonds under her in just a few short years. And that is going to be so fun to see. So if y'all don't have anything else, I appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next Tuesday. It'll be fun to see what our next training will be. So love y'all. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pat.
Bet. Good night.